Hello and welcome to episode 340 of the Board Game Barbecue, brought to you by Advent Games, More Than Meeples, and our Patreons. Thank you for joining me, Conor, here in the host chair. I've managed to drag myself away from playing Donkey Kong Bonanza on my Switch. And why wouldn't I want to be dragged away when I'm joined by the two roses to my thorns in Dana in Brisbane? How are you, Dana?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Hey, I'm really proud of you, Dana, by the way.
I'm so proud of you, Conor.
Thanks. Please don't get upset now. I haven't upset you. From now, I get told I'm from the Outback, but this person,
it's genuinely
without doxing them, is in the Outback. Loz, how are you, my dude?
Yeah, doing good, mate. Well and truly, if I'm going to go Outback, I'm going to go full hog. And I think Roma is.
Yeah. I mean, at least I have proper services here, and you're well and truly. Is there red dirt?
There's red dirt on the way to Roma. In Roma, scarcely lacking, although you do see a lot of Akubras. You see a lot of cowboy hats everywhere. They're in full force.
A lot of Forex.
Oh, everywhere. You cross the border to Queensland and it just smacks you in the face.
Christ, that's I wouldn't even clean my barbecue with that crap. It's so bad. It's the worst drink you could ever have. Don't look at that, Dan.
You
didn't even drink.
Why do you? Hey, I beg your pardon. I've just started. Don't tell me that.
Hang on. Is there a correlation between you drinking and you joining the podcast? Because if that's the case, I don't know if that's healthy.
I did drink at the Patreon party, which was so good. I don't normally drink, and I just said, "What have you got behind the bar that's old-fashioned?" And he brought out 2 bottles, one of port and one of cognac. And so I grabbed a double cognac at $25 a glass. And I actually cleaned them out. I thought I was quite well behaved, actually. I only told 5 people that PlayCon was at the ICC. That's all.
If that isn't the best promotion to become a Patreon so you can come to next year's Patreon party, I don't know what is.
If you're going to continue having cognac, Dana, I'm going to buy you a smoking jacket and a faux cigar so you can sit there with your cognac, your smoking jacket and your faux cigar and just you could be the equivalent of the Board Game Barbecue Don.
Yeah,
that's what you could be like.
Yeah, Maxine, she came out a little bit. That's my alter ego, my drinking ego.
Yes, we were just at PlayCon last weekend, so we're very lucky we're on the first episode post-PlayCon. So if you weren't aware, PlayCon is the convention that we have put on for the last 2 years at the Southern Convention Centre in Sydney, in Hurstville in Sydney. But without bearing the lead too much, as Dana gave away to about several people, we're moving to the ICC in Sydney next year, which is pretty exciting. How are the nerves, guys?
Well, the preparation has already, it started before PlayCon 2025. It started before then, but it's started in earnest already. Mm-hmm. And people are working behind the scenes very hard already. But it is very exciting. I think it's going to be wonderful.
I was just super stoked how excited everyone else was. And the reception to that announcement at PlayCon was so kind of invigorating. I feel like people can see that light at the end of the tunnel of having this huge board game convention in Sydney, and the ICC feels like a kind of sign of that. I went, though, to the venue in April, so I've had to keep this secret and all these photos on my phone and everything for ages. So it's nice that people know. So I'm not kind of busting my gut to tell people that I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at keeping secrets too. So I'm really glad that no one asked me.
I was just going to say, please do not tell me. Just don't tell me any secrets.
I just pretended to tie my shoe. I was like, oh yeah, got to tie my shoe.
Yeah.
Oh, going through a tunnel.
Yeah. I'm walking next to you, Conor. Yeah, but so it was a fantastic weekend. So much fun. We're going to touch upon a couple of our highlights a little bit later that don't involve games. Dana, I do have beef with you because you said I only got to play one game, and you forgot that we got to play a game together on the Friday night.
Yes, I don't know why I don't think about it as a game. I'm not really sure why I'm like that. I see it as more of an activity. So Mark from Discord, we played an RPG called Shadow Dark.
Mm-hmm,
so he invited me along mainly because I had previously said, probably on a podcast or in a chat somewhere, that I hadn't played an RPG before. Now, I have played Alice is Missing, where you're not really actually communicating with each other than by text message. So it was a very interesting experience, and I really enjoyed it. But this one here was face-to-face D&D, and we were lucky enough to have a really great group present. There were quite a few Patreons, and of course yourself, Connor, but really wonderful group of people. And I felt really comfortable because there's two things that frighten me about RPGs. Number one is role-playing. The word role-playing really scares me. I'm quite socially nervous, and I don't like the thought of play acting or getting into character in front of people, particularly people I don't know. So that scares me. Number two is whenever I see people play D&D, like at game events, they seem to be there for bloody ages. And some people have laptops. It looks like work to me.
They probably are doing work. Like in between turns, they're probably running spreadsheets on their latest,
that's what I think.
Trades.
I think they're doing spreadsheets, and I'm thinking, I'm not sure whether that's the kind of game that's really for me. So it's sort of it's always been a little bit of a turn off. So I got to play. I didn't pick my character; it was picked for me, and my name was PP, not Wee Wee, PP. And I think some of you would know where that name comes from. But anyway, PP was my name. And I played a human seer, and everybody else was, I think they were halflings or dwarves. And the idea is that this group of, and it seemed like to me a group of misfits, really. Some of the characters were really quite funny. Like Mitch was this useless character called Mutt.
Bleep it, get a crack going.
And he was sort of like, yeah,
he was like a Pokemon. He only said his name. That's all he did.
He couldn't.
But do you remember at one point he tried to get everyone to dance, and because he was so charismatic, everyone started joining in.
Oh my God. Well, that's how I was actually trying to think about that today when I was writing a few little notes about the experience. I thought, how did we end up doing the conga? Where did that come from? And actually throughout PlayCon, I would be walking and I would start going, I'd start doing the conga. Anyway, I'm getting off track, but I think your character was, and I can't remember the name of your character, but were you the one that goes on someone's back?
No, so I had decided, so Matt, who I play D&D with in our group that I've been talking about, was he a halfling barbarian or something? Anyway, he was like a Big Bertha, and I decided that I didn't want to get my loafers dirty in the sewer, so I jumped on his back and then pretty much just rode his character through the sewers so my loafers didn't get dirty. But what was cool then is when we got into a fight, I sort of bounced off him and turned him invisible, and then so he had advantage and could attack, and it was really cool. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I played lots of D&D with people like Chris, Megs, Matt, a little bit with Tom. I hadn't played with Dan, so I can't remember. Dan has done lots of. I know Dan's talked to Lauren about solo RPGs, and Mitch has played. In fact, Mitch DM'd our first attempt at playing Dungeons and Dragons. So Mitch has played lots. So as many of our patrons and friends are very clever and some very, very funny moments. Nellie was great too. I hadn't played with Nellie before, but she was very funny. She was a very excitable, I think, goblin.
Yes.
And was like wanting to shake everyone's hand. And that was
some of the characters were so interesting. Megs had a character where she had like an attack beaver. Don't you remember that?
It was a badger.
Yeah, a badger. Yeah. That's it. Anyway, so all this is going on. In the meantime, we're trying to find the hag. Mark had drawn this sort of like very simple mud map type thing to sort of guide us through where we were going, and came up with various story elements. Now, all I know about RPGs is that you can pretty much do what you want. You can pretty much say or do anything you want. So really a great experience. And I can see, because some of you were already playing together, prior to PlayCon, you've got your own group together. And I can see how close you have all become just because of that experience. And I think if I were going to play an RPG, I don't think I would enjoy playing with strangers.
No,
I don't think
that's
that would be
100%. It's
yeah.
very hard.
I don't think
Very,
that
very
that
hard.
would be my kind of thing. And I would play for me because I wanted those shared memories and to just be able to have this bond with other people. I have looked at other RPGs before and I read through the rules briefly today, and it is quite simple. I don't know whether this is a simplified version of an RPG, the Shadow Dark, is it?
Yeah, it is. It's a simplified version of effectively what we play. So, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So,
what were you going to say?
speaking of PlayCon, Lauren, and before PlayCon, what have you been playing recently?
I did get to play the expansion to a game that I really, really enjoy, which is QE. And the expansion is QE Commodities. Now, QE, for anyone who doesn't know, it's an auction game, but the, I guess, shtick is that you can print money so you can bid whatever you want. So it just gets wacky and people end up bidding crazy, crazy amounts. QE Commodities adds these additional kind of commodities. So there's crypto, oil, and gold. It's not just that the person who's first gets the win, the person who's in second place in the auction gets the commodity. So it's meant to get rid of this issue that some people that I never had with the game, that if one person spent way, way, way too much on something, then everyone else just starts spending less. Because coming in second place is still good, because QE is similar to, high society and other games where if you spend the most money, you can't win. I don't know. For me, that meta never really happened because who's taking QE so seriously that they're kind of, now undercutting because this person has spent too much. I didn't love the expansion because I felt it made the game more gamey, which is not why I play QE.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You've lost what makes it special.
It's supposed to be fun. Like high society, I put some thought into it and I try and, let's just see what, I'm not sure how much people have spent. But in the end, if I'm wrong, it's like, oh, okay, whatever. Like it doesn't matter because it is supposed to be that game where it's like, oh, I can't believe you spent that much, or I can't believe you bid so much for that one card, you numpty. Like that's more what it's about, those moments.
I also found that because the commodities added so many more points, that it had more of a kind of runaway leader thing where much earlier in the game, you knew that you couldn't win in QE. And not that winning's important, but it just kind of made it was like, oh, okay, well, it actually doesn't matter if I win this now halfway through. But I think if you are more of a gamer's gamer, right, and you like the games to be more serious, more heady, more mathematical and strategic or whatever, then you might really like the commodities expansion for QE. It just wasn't for me.
But there's games you can play that are out there, right? Like with QE, it was special because of the ridiculousness behind it. It's like the money literally doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. Like so, I always think it's a shame when there's games that are special. Like QE is really, really special. Why did they have to go and make it super gamey when there's other games out there that already do it? I don't know.
But you say all this, but the consensus for commodities was that it makes the game strictly better. It was one of those quote unquote essential expansions, which I was so excited to play it because I love QE, and not for me.
Yeah.
They can't all be hits. Hey, they can't be hits. Hey, I got to play a game that we actually had as demos through the weekend, and that was Fate of the Fellowship. So I was pretty excited about this. I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan. Like I would watch the movies maybe once a year, the extended editions. We were talking about this the other day with Lauren. And it was so good. Now, I don't dislike Pandemic. I think Pandemic is great. I think it's a great game for you to show people, hey, board games can be cooperative and we can win together. We don't always have to be competing against each other. I think it's probably, I would put it in the sense it's a classic, but I'm not dying to go and play it. Even like the legacy versions didn't hit for me while they hit for other people. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really cool. They've got a cool system called the 4-in-1 system where everyone gets 2 characters and you take 4 actions with one character or set of characters and then one with the other. And I had Gladriel, so my one action I was taking was really easy because I would just look at the top of the incoming deck and be like, well, let me shuffle the bad cards beneath there. Or I'd say, hey, who needs swords or who needs rings? Let's make sure that we sort of game it so that I'm not taking them and maybe I'm giving them to Mitch or putting them further down. So that was pretty cool. I also had Faramir, who could move and attack at the same time. And so probably the one thing I would say this game does incredibly well is how thematic the characters are. Like, they are incredibly thematic. Not being able to have Gollum, Frodo, and Sam and troops all in one area together, because they would take Gollum, and Frodo and Sam need Gollum to be able to guide them to Mount Doom, so that's terrible. But if they're all in separate spots, it's fine. Things like Aragorn had to complete a mission where he had to rally troops and all this type of stuff. Those missions are really cool, actually, because I thought, oh, how are they going to get it so that you don't just rush to Mount Doom? And it's no, you've got to check off these missions first before you head to Mount Doom with Frodo and Sam. So yeah, even the combat, you go combat in a pandemic game, it's like, what? But you throw dice down, really cool dice tower, by the way. It's the tower with the eye, Sauron's eye. Yeah, you resolve it just by taking a number of pieces that are present. It's really, really cool. So we played it with 5, but it actually really, really hummed. And, I was a bit worried about maybe some quarterbacking or alpha gaming, and in the end, it actually didn't feel that way, because we were happy to be like, well, no, that sounds like a good idea, but we'll play. But I could imagine, it's probably my one, not even a criticism, but one thing to maybe be aware of if you are prone to tend to play with people who might take over a game, like any co-op game, that's going to happen.
It doesn't sound anything like Pandemic at all.
So the Pandemic side of things is when you draw cards, that's where the forces spawn from. Oh. So that was effectively like the system in Pandemic where the virus was spread.
Of course, yeah. That's it. Okay.
I've heard that it's very similar to Pandemic Fall of Rome, which I have played, which is kind of all of these armies appearing in different areas.
Yep,
which
that makes sense.
I didn't like as much as regular Pandemic, because I found that I like in Pandemic that you can just kind of like fly across the board. You're in this globalized world and you could just bop, bop, bop. Whereas in Fall of Rome, you had to kind of trudge across the map to get to places. But in Lord of the Rings, that thematically makes so much sense, because 80% of those movies, and I'm going to get in real trouble for this, is people walking. So
fair, that's fair.
But at
least they didn't include the songs from the books. Can we just be grateful that didn't happen?
Really excited to play it. It sounds really, really good.
Yeah. It is really good. Apparently, Finn, Adrian's son, gamed it so that he buffed up Frodo and Sam, and they just took on everything. And I was like, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, good little golf clap for Finn. So not only did he thrash me in Sea Salt and Paper, he also broke the Pandemic system in Fate of the Fellowship. No, I'm sure that's not the case. So yeah, really cool. So glad we could demo it. So glad there were copies for people to grab as well off of our sponsors. So yeah, really good. If you like co-op games, this is, I think, one of the better ones. It does run slightly long, but like I said, we were playing with 5, 2 people are learning. And there's so much variety too. I was like, where are all the mission cards? And Greenie showed me them. I was like, there are so many missions that you can have, and they all scale at different difficulties. So yeah, really cool. Fate of the Fellowship.
Sounds awesome.
Dana, you were talking about a game potentially that was for sale at a couple of them, and that's Pergola.
Yes. Or as according to Z Garcia of the Dice Tower, it's Pergola.
Pergola.
Doesn't that sound so bad?
That sounds, it's like capillaries.
No, yeah, exactly. Capillaries. He calls it Pergola. And I thought, oh, God, that's shocking. Pergola, if you look at the box, it's this gorgeous box with this lovely backyard grass scene. And the artist actually is the same artist that did Meadow. So you can imagine the kind of artwork that it is. And because of the artist and because it's Rebel Studio as well, I think a lot of people compare it to Meadow, but I don't think that it is quite the same game. I think there's a slightly different game there. So it is not a heavy game. It's a fairly light game and would be suitable for people who are fairly new to gaming. So you've got this basically like a blank canvas. You get this garden scene and you have a frog, like a birdhouse, and you're going to be taking a turn. You're going to be taking like a garden tool from a group of garden tools that give you certain actions. And I think it's you take 15 actions over the whole round. Now, when you look at this, like on the table, you've got all your garden tools are in like almost like a little pot. So it's very, very thematic. And then as you take an action and you take a garden tool, which is like a little trowel, or it could be like a little fork or something like that, you put it into your pot, and that counts how many actions you've got left. So it does very much look like this beautiful garden area. And so you've got garden, which is completely a blank canvas. You're going to be hanging flowers from this pergola, planting lavender and these other flowers called, I think they're called hokey cokies or something. Anyway, and then on the other side of your board, you've got this gorgeous waterfall where raindrops are going to be falling down, and you're going to be getting different resources as these raindrops fall down.
That looked really cool, actually. I was like, oh, this could be a really cool feature.
It is absolutely beautiful, but there is a game in there. It's not.
Okay.
I remember talking about Dorf Romantic and calling it Mindfulness, the game. I believe that this is actually extremely mindful, this game. And I'm not joking. Last night when I played it, we put the soundtrack to Sound of Music on, and we literally sang the Sound of Music throughout the entire game. So you could do that playing this game if you wanted to. So you're going to be collecting flowers. You can, and actually there's no restrictions on where you can put them. You just put them anywhere you want. So back in the day, and I'm talking about when these sorts of things used to please us, not like now, you used to get these things called fuzzy felts. And it was basically
Dana, you've just taken me back to
like when you were young.
A heated memory, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically Fuzzy Felt's the board game. So you've got all of these things. You've got butterflies and bees that you can put on flowers and things like that. You can arrange it however you like. There's actually no restrictions other than some flowers like magnolias, for example, like to grow up, and certain flowers like to grow outwards, things like that. But you can actually place them wherever you want to. And you'll find yourself, as you're collecting this garden trowel and doing the actions that it allows you to do, like it might allow you to move your little frog in the pond to get a butterfly. You will be talking about, oh, okay, I might put my hokey cokey flower here. I think that looks really nice. So it's almost like a craft exercise.
Yeah.
But there is a game there. There is a game there because all of these flowers and insects that you're collecting do score in different ways and have relationships to each other. However, the scene that you're creating is very different. And it got to a point last night where I ended up just wanting to take a photo of it, and everybody's was quite different, like to see where they put their lanterns and where they put their lavender and whatnot. It's actually a really, really beautiful game, and it was a very, very mindful experience and very creative. So if people sort of compare it to Meadow, I don't think that that's what it is. Meadow is far more strategic than this game, and it's a very pleasant experience, and the components are very good. It was really pleasing.
It looked incredibly eye-catching when I saw people playing it, and I was like, oh my God, this looks awesome. So yeah, I don't know if it's for me, but I can definitely see the appeal of playing Mindfulness, the board game.
Yeah,
Mindfulness. Yeah,
man, I was busting out those Sound of Music tunes. I tell you what, I was busting them out.
I'm glad I wasn't there. Lauren, you have got down to talk about a game that I played a couple of times at PlayCon, and it was more of a post-day session, maybe had a couple of frosty beverages with some froth on top, and that's Ito.
Holy heck, this game is funny.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's wavelength meets the mind. You're trying to get in sync with each other to play cards in order. We never won, literally never won. And we chose ones that were so simple. It was, what was the topic? Would be surprising to find under a rock.
Right.
And we were playing for fun, but we eventually got to the point where, okay, guys, let's try win one round. Lock in, lads. Surprising to find under a rock. Let's go. And I've just never had a game that makes me yell at my friends more. And I'm just, what do you mean? You find, you're telling me that you find a souffle under a rock and you're like, yeah, that's normal.
Yeah. Oh, God.
And then the adding onto it's a souffle, but there's the cricket from Mulan sitting baked in it.
Yeah.
And adding to it. So good. How were your games of it, Conor?
Yeah, really good. So I think it was Saturday night. So I stumbled upon, who was it? Manny posted about it. So it was Manny, Harry, Ian O'Toole, Jace, Sarah, and Anna. And they're like, come down for a game. And I was like, what is this? And they were trying to explain it to me, and it was fine. But we had, so how many people was that? Like 8? And it was impossible. It was so impossible. And we didn't have too hard of categories, although we did have one. It was something that the person to your left would say. And
so good.
It was, and so one was the least surprising, and 100 was the most. And so it was so funny. So it's like, my one was, hello, I'm so and so. And so, because I had the number 1, so it was like the least surprising. And then things like, I'm going to put him on blast here. Anna was sitting next to Jace, and it was what would be least surprising for Jace to say, or the most surprising. And it's, I'm not going to go all in on this Kickstarter, which if you know Jace, he can't help himself and he always goes all in on Kickstarters. So love you, brother. But I had to talk about it. And it was so good. We had one that was attention on social media, and I had 99. So I was like a scantily clad person, bang. So it's like, no one's going to do that. And then Harry had 100, and his was free stuff. And he kept saying to me, no, brother, free stuff is more popular. And I was like, okay. He's like, believe me when I say this, free stuff. And so we're like, okay, like I got it. He's got 100, I've got 99. But with all those games, the extremes aren't funny, and they're easy. Like, they can be funny, especially with this. They can be funny because you can say something outlandish and it's hilarious. So Manny said a couple of things that I'm not going to repeat on the podcast, but they were down the extreme end. But where it's hard is those in the middle. So again, it reminds me of The Gang, totally different games, but the cooperative side of things, because it's like, like with The Gang, it's always the 4 and the 3 stars. It's like, and then when you're playing with like maybe the 5. With this, it's like, that could be 50, but it could also be 70, like depending what other people have. So when you don't know what that numbers are, it makes it so hard. And because you might be like, this sounds ridiculous, but everyone else sounds really plausible. So I think Ian had one that was like, for me, because I was sitting to his left. So his was like, hey, Ian, do you know what the footy scores are? Now, that would be really strange for me to ask Ian O'Toole what the footy scores are. And he's like, but I didn't know what everyone else's was. So I had to put that down there, and it actually wasn't that strange. Anyway, so it's just a lot of fun.
Can I talk about a segue away from Ito? Is that okay? Or are you?
You are indeed allowed to segue to a different game. Yeah, we'll allow it. We'll allow it.
Look, did you ever see this game at PlayCon?
Oh, right.
I did, but I didn't get to play it.
Yeah, it's called The Vibe. And so I got to play that last night, and it's very similar to Ito. So it was actually created by someone, and they called it I think it was called the art scene game or something like that. And what it is just these postcards, and the postcards have like fine art on them, copies of fine art, like, anyway, I'm showing you to you. Nobody else can see them, but it's sort of like fine art cards.
Hey, the Renaissance, like those, accidental Renaissance.
Yeah, things that you would find in an art gallery. And then on the back, it's got these words like determination, redemption, anxiety, whatever. And so you put 5 cards out, and you put 5 cards turned upside down with the words facing upwards. And then you pick one person to give the vibe. So they're going to pick one of those words and then arrange those photographs left to right in least like that vibe and to most like that vibe. And the rest of the group have to guess what the theme card they chose and why they picked that order. So it's very similar to Ito. But what I loved about this game is the conversations that come out of it and why people would pick certain things. And this game in particular promotes a lot of discussion about just social issues, because a lot of the artwork could almost be offensive, I guess you could say, because it's fine art. It's from the 1600s or whatever, depending on how women are portrayed, or animals, or, it's got photos of, people cutting open carcasses and things like that. So it promotes like just this amazing amount of discussion about how people interpret these photographs. And it's really, really interesting. And on the back, if you do like artwork, it's even got like a little QR code on the back, and it tells you the painting's name, where you can find it. I just found it really, really interesting. And you can do this thing, which is like a double think mode, where you have one of the 5 photographs is in the middle, and then you have to connect the photograph 2 ways to 2 different themes. So you have them in a cross version, and you have to get both themes, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You're looking puzzled.
Like most to least that apply to this theme.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. I know I haven't explained it very well.
No, I understand. So you're kind of just arranging the cards on a scale, because you held up a card that just said anxiety.
Anxiety. Yeah, that's me.
Determination.
That's me. And all I can do is, whenever I look at this game and look at the box, all I can do is say, it's the vibe. It's Marbo. It's the vibe.
Well, no, the guy on the front is if he's like the meme lord. Do you know the story behind that guy? The guy on the front? Yeah.
Really?
So he painted a whole lot of funny portraits of himself doing weird things, and now in the time of memes, they've just been co-opted. And yeah, like people are like, this is going to be fake. No, he was like the original funny picture guy. So he's like doing like weird things and painting. 100% look it up.
Well, I didn't know that. But anyway, so that's the vibe. It's a little bit something a little bit different. And this is volume 1. And actually they're already producing volume 2 and 3, which has got like one's got a romance theme, and then volume 3 has got, the theme is uncanny. So I don't know what that would entail exactly, but
just quickly circling back to Ito. No. And I imagine it's the thing with Ito is, I think some people are like, I really like this game, but I wish there was like a After Dark version or whatever. Ito can be as PG or as 18 plus, like as you want, because the descriptions are vague and it's up to you to put things in order. Whereas I know, like, if it's like a questionnaire thing, it's like, let's try. Like when we played Telestrations Data, and that was corrupt as anything. I just wanted to quickly talk about a game that I got to play with 9 other people that wasn't an RPG, and that was Guards of Atlantis 2. So I've mentioned in the past playing games that are MOBA-like, and so MOBA is I think I even talked to you about this before, done on another episode. MOBA is a type of video game that I've played a fair bit of. League of Legends, Dota, there's a whole heap of other ones. Anyway, this is like MOBA, the board game, where you're moving down lanes trying to effectively get rid of creeps and push the tower. So I got to play this, but JB ran it, and it didn't go to plan, so to such. It was a bit quick, but that was good because it was at PlayCon, and we sort of popped in a bit more. I think this game would be really, really cool to play with a bunch of mates who understand the game really, really well, because there's like upgrades that you can take, and then different upgrades that you might want to store and then increase your character's ability in certain areas. It's very simple. I've played games that have tried to emulate MOBAs before, and it becomes overly complicated. So this was really, really cool. I had a lot of fun with it, and we did win. We came away with the victory, so yay to us.
Yay.
And yeah, hooray, I never win games. So that was really cool. And so Guards of Atlantis, if you're looking, now I believe you can only get it via Kickstarter, but if you're looking for a game that emulates those MOBAs, to push in the lanes, I'm talking about it with Cloud Spire before and Rum and Bones, but if you're looking for that one-on-one or team-based game, this could be really cool. So yeah, give it a look. Lauren, was there anything else you wanted to talk about from this week or from PlayCon?
Rob from Sydney taught me Fishing by Friedman Freeze. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good.
Dana has a couple. Why am I not surprised? Well, you do work at a game store, so I suppose.
Damn it, Dana, I can't get this game anywhere. I'm going to rob Dana's house.
Do it.
Just dressed up as the Hamburglar and come in. So, have you played it, Dana?
Yes, I have, yeah.
So, Fishing, it's a trick-taking game that plays over several rounds, plays over 8 rounds, and it's kind of like a little deck builder as well. So the cards that you win from a round are going to create a deck that you're going to draw your hands from each round, and the cards get better and better each round. So while you win points for every trick that you win, you don't necessarily want to win tricks early, because then you're going to have a deck that's full of gummied cards that aren't going to be as good for the cards that get added later. So, for example, in the earlier rounds, there aren't even trump cards. And in the later rounds, the numbers are higher and there's extra things. So you're trying to thin your deck by losing cards to other people, because the cards you win are also going to become part of that deck. So you're trying to lose your rubbish cards, win the good cards, but also reserve the winning later and decide at what point do you just try start winning, because it's all about winning tricks. Really, really, really good. It felt like I was kind of playing on a knife's edge. Thoroughly enjoyed my game of it. Dana, what did you think of it?
I loved it, and actually I played it with the family, and fortunately they're pretty good at trick-taking games. And I actually thought, right, I'm going to dump my hand like in the first round. I'm just going to throw all the tricks and get all these good cards. And surprisingly, that did not go well, because then I was sort of left with still, because those cards still will end up likely in your deck at some point. Those bad cards will. And you're right, it's a delicate balance between getting some of those cards but not all of them. It was a fantastic game, really, really good. I think it would be better at the maximum player count, where you can get right to the bottom, because those cards are like the level 1 cards. It's graded. And so as you get through the cards which maybe just have higher numbers or whatever, you get ones where you get a 0, but you get to take a card from the pile or the trick that you win or something like that. You get to those much better cards if you have more players.
Yeah, cool.
I'm going to be desperately looking for a copy of this game. It's sold out everywhere that I can see. Dana bought all the copies, apparently. Yeah, I know I love trick takers, so I'm exceptionally biased, but I was so enamored by this one. It felt so different, so interesting. Freedom Freeze onto an absolute winner. That's fishing.
We might get into our sizzle. I'm going to use this phrase. Well, I'm going to take the new ball, because my sizzle isn't so much about the game itself. So I got to play Foundations of Rome on the weekend. I got to play it with Adrian, Finn, and Manny. Now, it was Manny's copy. The reason why I'm talking about this game is because Manny has painted perhaps the most beautiful game I have ever seen. So Foundations of Rome, very simple type of game to play. You have this stack of buildings that you can play. You also have these deeds to a grid. And depending on how many players you have will determine how big the grid is. And it's effectively, on your turn, you do one of two things. So one of three things, I should say. You can either take income, which means you get coins +5 of your income buildings. You can buy a deed, which is anywhere from like 1 coin to 9 coins or something like that. Or you can build a building if you have the deed to the building. And the buildings don't cost you anything. It's the deeds that cost you money. And there's a struggle between moving and then placing your buildings on the grid. It's a shared grid. You want to place the biggest buildings you can because they're worth the most amount of points. There's a constant scoring of some buildings for population. Then there's some scoring for buildings that have their own scoring as well. It's a pretty cool game. It's very straightforward, very simple. The tussle of, I need to get that one. Do I have enough money to go and buy that deed so I can build on that square because that will help me build a bigger building or whatnot? You can swap buildings in and out as long as you are building a bigger building. So that's all well and good. You never lose a deed once you've bought it. So if people are like, I'd hate to buy this deed and it gets stolen, there are modules to play it. The reason why I'm talking about this game is because I honestly think that if you ever get the chance, if you're in Sydney at one of the Sydney game days, and if you're very nice to Manny, you should see if he will play this game with you, because the paint job he has done on this thing is next effing level. It is so good, man. The amount of people that walk past, and you know what it's like at a convention, you're walking past, you're kind of busy, you've got someone to go, and people do the thing where they would walk and then walk backwards and like keep looking at the board and being like, that's amazing. Who painted that? I'm like, Manny painted it. Like every chance I got, I just big up Manny because it was incredible. I was so grateful that I got to play this game with him because he has put, and he's self-deprecating as he can be, as many of us can be, but he was like, I've wasted way too much time painting this. I might as well get some time out of it. But I said to him, this game is better because of the love and effort that you have put into painting this thing. It is a fine game. It's a great game and I happily play it. But the fact that it looks as good as it does, each of the player colors are painted on the top of each of the buildings, so you know exactly whose it is. Each of the monuments have been painted in a particular way. It just pops. It is so good. Like, Manny, you should be so proud of the paint job you have done. I have no issues at all making this my sizzle for this week, even if I'm just gushing over the paint job, because holy Moses, this was just one of the coolest things I got to experience this weekend was playing this game with Manny. And it happened on the Sunday. So it was like, yeah, this is like one of the coolest things that happened. And it happened on the last day. And it's kind of like made my con. So yeah, Foundations of Rome. Don't play any other version except for Manny's because it's just going to be a disappointment. But yeah, it is so good. Did you guys get to see it?
I did. Yeah, I did get to see it. And I was very impressed that Manny actually brought it to the convention because it's bloody huge.
Yeah,
it had its own bag. And it's very, very heavy. And he did actually bring it last year and I was meant to play it with him and, didn't have time. So I was so glad to see it on the table. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful and puts my unpainted version to shame.
I'm not playing yours. You can't make me play yours now. Bad luck.
No, it was fantastic paint job. But I know it took him a lot, he said, a long time. He gave me a figure of how many hours it took, and I can't remember what it was, but I remember going, oh, that's a lot of time. It was 200 hours or something. I don't know.
I didn't get to see it, unfortunately, but I've heard only excellent things, and I have seen some of the pictures that he shared in our painting Discord of the individual pieces, so I can only imagine when it all comes together. So what you're saying is, Conor, anyone who wants to buy the Foundations of Metropolis, which is, I think, the really affordable version with the cardboard, and it's the same game as Foundation of Rome, don't even bother. Absolutely not.
No.
Do it because Manny's not going to paint another copy of Foundation of Rome, so you might as well buy that because otherwise you'll be disappointed. We have lots of great painters in our community, so Manny's just another one that if you, again, I don't mean to put on him, but if you have any questions or whatever, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer them. So him, Jules, I'm trying to think who else is a good painter. I like 80 is a good painter as well. So yeah, like we've got some really, really talented painters in our community, and that's really cool. So yep.
Mm. Yeah, awesome.
Dana, I'm going to leave your game to the end because it's a cracker.
It deserves a finish. It deserves the final finish.
It deserves a finish. Good one. Lauren, I want to hear about this because I'm filthy that I didn't get to play this at PlayCon. I know you didn't get to play the PlayCon, but it was being played.
Yeah, so this is a game that also has an exceptional amount of table presence, I would say, but for very different reasons than Manny's Foundations of Rome. And that is Eternal Decks by Hurricane. Just the one name, like Cher, just Hurricane. I guess you could imagine it. It's like the Crew plus. It's a game where you're trying to cooperatively play cards together in particular orders with particular rule constraints depending on the scenario to achieve a certain objective. I know that sounds incredibly vague. The reason it's incredibly vague is the scenario design in this game between the different stages they're called is so wildly different that I guess it just becomes a bit hard to explain. But really, it's everything that you want in the Crew, which is that, what are you trying to tell me to play right now? What signal are you sending? It's all of that because it's also a limited communication game. But there's these different rows, and you're trying to kind of unlock these quote-unquote Eternals by playing cards to the row. And there'll be certain constraints like the card can't be the same color or number as the previous card, all these sorts of things, but then there's stuff that breaks those rules. I'll give you an example of one scenario so you can kind of get a picture of this. So there's these 3 rows, and you're trying to play cards in one row that have to go in ascending order. You're trying to play cards in another row that go in descending order, while also not being a repeated number or color from the previous row. And then another one, there's certain numbers you can't play. So you keep that in mind. This is one of the introductory scenarios, but you keep that in mind. then you have to think, okay, now I'm going to keep going. If you fill a row, you will, it's called Awaken an Eternal. Then that's going to give you extra cards. It doesn't just give you extra cards, it also gives you extra rules constraints. So if I unlock this Eternal, now we can't play red cards or half red, half green cards. But it gives us all of these cards. So you're trying to balance awakening Eternals that are going to add rules, but not too many rules that you're going to goof it really quick. But you need to be awakening them because they add cards to your deck, because one of the ways you lose is if you either can't play a card or your deck runs out. So it's this constant hand card management. It's this constant trying to communicate to someone of what I've got. But then also what Eternals Awoken is public information. So I go, okay, well, I know they have this in their deck. So if I play this, hopefully if they've got that card, it's going to signal to them that I'm vibing that they should probably play that card right now. Outstanding. It's very heady. It's very thinky. And I know the way I'm describing it is a bit obtuse because it's very hard to explain. It's quite unlike anything that I've ever played before, but it's exceptionally unique card game. I do think the Crew is the best comparison, just without the trick-taking part, because it's all about just cooperatively laying down these cards. There's scenarios which have you cards arrange in a certain grid. There's a scenario where you're trying to defeat an enemy by putting down its health playing card. So all the stages are really, really, really different. Unfortunately, it is exceptionally hard to find and purchase right now, but I've seen copies around on Amazon Japan and Buyee, and I do think that there's a reprint coming.
Sorry, can you talk?
You can talk.
You know, like the Crew, you can't talk. So can you talk?
I mean, it depends how fast and loose you want to play it, right? So
I'm loose. I know,
Dana. I was at the Patreon party.
Really?
So you've got these 2 communication tokens, and you can pop it down on a spot, which basically says, like, I'm going to play it here. So it's a bit looser than the Crew in terms of you only have this one, I can share this one piece of information and I'm done. We were kind of playing, I don't even know if this is the official rules, but you have these 2 communication tokens and you're moving them around. So it becomes a bit like Ito Conor.
This is the card to put, like, card. No, listen.
Yeah. So we were kind of playing it like that, which if you are more serious and don't want to play it like that, I guess you could not talk whatsoever and it would be fine. But I always found that our games were down to a knife's edge. We were just, 1 or 2 cards away from losing. So it has these, for us at least, has had these huge moments where, okay, gosh, if we can pull this off, I'm going to play this. If, you have this one particular card in your hand, then, we've won it. If not, we're screwed. So it does have these big celebration moments, which I really like. The art is beautiful. I do think that the board, they sacrificed a little bit of the usability for the sake of the art and the aesthetic. But once you're familiar with the board, that stops being an issue. It just makes it a little harder to learn initially. But the art on the cards is beautiful. It's kind of like this mix between Day of the Dead and Japanese art. I'm not really sure how else to describe it.
Kind of. It's not abstract in the sense that you don't know what's going on, but it's clear what the images are. But you're right. It's nothing that's really, really obvious or that you can make a link to. It's very striking.
It's not really a trick taker. It's kind of just like a puzzle, a hand management, cooperative, limited communication puzzle that you have to kind of work to deduce what people have in their hands based on what they're playing, and really, really like it. I like that the scenarios ramp up in difficulty. So if you want, you could just keep playing those intro ones again and again and again. It definitely becomes harder with more people, I feel. So less people, less moving parts. So if you want an easier experience, I'd probably recommend it at 2. I do enjoy it at the higher player counts, and you can also scale the difficulty by changing your decks and certain things. There's all these other parts to the game that I didn't even explain, but yeah, just really, really cool. It's just so dang good. It feels so hard to describe, despite actually being not that difficult or complex to play. And I think that's just because we have no other frame of reference to latch onto, because it's just so dissimilar to anything else I've ever played. But yeah, highly, highly, highly recommend Eternal Decks.
Man, I got to get my hands on this game.
Yeah,
Like when I saw it on the Discord, I think Def was playing it. And I was like, what is this thing? And there was talk of playing it at 80s Game Palooza or whatever, and I think people were saying, yeah, we'll get a game in at PlayCon, and it just didn't marry up enough. But so I did check. It is available for pre-order from Let's Play Games. So LPG have it on pre-order. It doesn't say when it's going to be here. So, yeah, there is that. And then I imagine there's probably going to be a Kickstarter reprint at some point. It reminds me weirdly, like you're talking about cards. So I know they're not the same game and they're play with different types of cards, but Regicide. So same idea of such a simple set of cards. Regicide's using the typical 52 card deck, but getting the scenarios and things and the scenarios and the gameplay out of that deck of cards just is so cool. So
I think that's a really good comparison. Yeah.
So that was Eternal Decks. If you have it, hold it tight. Dana, we are now going to talk about your sizzle, which has been dubbed by us, the makers of all rules, Game of PlayCon, and it is none other than
Hot Streak. This is look. I've got to be honest with you. I only played it once, but I'm sure maybe you guys played it a little bit more often. But I'm confident that it's worthy of a sizzle. I'm still confident that it's worthy. So Hot Streak. I was so lucky that Jules, prior to PlayCon, I think it was Jules anyway, decided that this game has got to be at the con. We have to do it, and he ordered a couple of copies, and it was so popular. So, if you have ever, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to Google on YouTube, not Google on YouTube, go to YouTube and type in mascot races Weatherby. Type that in and watch what happens, and then you'll understand what this board game is about, because you will be in stitches. And I didn't realize that these races actually exist where people actually get into full mascot costumes. And as you can imagine, if you've ever seen a mascot, they are heavy costumes and they are very hard to move around in. They're not form-fitting. They're these giant things that people have to walk around in. And you've got about 50 people on a horse racing track trying to reach the finish line, and they've got to jump over sort of like little obstacles on the way through. And you've got all these different mascots and animal mascots and everything falling all over the top of each other. That is what this board game is. So when you first look at it, like if you were to look at it on BGG, I think it looks like a toy. I would have put it in the toy section at Kmart or something.
100%. Absolutely 100%.
Yeah, because it's got like a little window, like a clear window where you're looking at the characters and things like that. So to me, it looks like a toy, but you've got these 4 oversized chunky mascots, and they're so cute. One is like a hot dog, and then there's a fish, a queen, and there's a bear as well. And they're all really lovely, brightly coloured. And what's even really lovely is the detail in them, where you can actually see the little people's eyes that are inside them. They're just so cute.
They are some of the funniest but dumbest components I've ever seen, but they nearly make the game.
I think it works. I think it works. Like, I don't think you could play. I don't think it'd be the same if it were meeples or something like that. It wouldn't be the same. Another cool feature about this game is that the racetrack rolls out of the box like on a spool. So you turn this circular spool, and out comes the racetrack on this vinyl sheet. Lovely green racetrack with 4 columns, and you put your characters there, and they're ready to start the race. It's very clever, and it's very eye-catching when you see it on the table. So it's basically a race, and you're betting on who's going to win the race, and whoever has the most money at the end of the game is the winner. So the person who's, I guess, running it, he has a full deck of cards, and these cards have movement values on them. So, for example, one might say that the bear, and they do have names, by the way. There's like Hurley and is it Grover? I don't know. There are names. Hurley's the fish. Mum is the queen, And then
That
there's
bloody fish, man. The gobbler.
a gobbler, and there's another one. But Granger?
Henley? Is it
Granger?
Henley?
I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, so it might say Hurley moves two spaces forward, or it might say Mum moves 2 spaces backwards. Sometimes a card might say move 2 spaces forward and then turn to the left, or swerve to the left. There's certain rules which if you actually knock into somebody, you end up knocking them over, and all they can then do is crawl. Fortunately, there are some cards in the deck which allow you to stand back up again so that you can continue on with the race. There are green cards as well in the deck that will move everybody forward, but you can't win with that and you can't collide. So it kind of, they're designed just to keep the race moving so you don't get stagnant and you have one person right in the last spot. And once you cross the finish line, you'll go to the mascot will go to the first available spot. You will then pay out any bets, and then you'll move on to the next race, and there's 3 races. But the thing is, before you do any betting, you get dealt 3 cards, and you will also get a look at part of the cards that are already going to be in the deck that will be part of the race. So you can see, for example, if there are going to be a lot of cards maybe that push Hurley the fish forward, for example. So you've got a general idea about what might be in there, but then you've got 3 cards in your hand and you can pick one of those to place in the deck as well. So you've got limited information, but you've got a little bit of agency about what you think might happen. Also, with the betting is done where you've got these certain cardboard betting tokens. And what you'll do is you'll do a snake draft. So one player will take a bet, and generally the first person who gets the bet has a bet that pays more than the next person who takes the bet. And you'll keep going around until the last person, they'll take 2 bets, and then they'll go all the way back around back to the first player again. And this race is unbelievable, and you have to be really good with your lefts and rights and things like that. And fortunately, I was lucky enough to have James, who's Lauren's partner. He's very bright, and he was able to run this race and literally have them go left, right, all over the place. But it was just so funny because some of these mascots will turn around and then they're going backwards. And you know, and as I said, you've got these mascots that are laying down. And as I said, if you look at this YouTube video, the one I talked about mascots at Weatherby, that's what they're doing. They're literally like laying down. They can't even get up.
They can't get up. Yeah. So there's like cards, it's like they fall over, they face the wrong way, they move back the other way.
I know. And there was a time there where you know, like you've got this bear, and if I can just give you an idea of this bear is huge, but it's got its like paws up in the air. So it's almost like got this pose like I'm about to win. And then you get this card and it says turn around. Turn around, and it's like right at the finish line, and it literally turns around, and then you've got cards that will make you go backwards, and some of the mascots will go backwards over the finish line. But it's just so funny, and everybody is almost like out of their seats trying to get these mascots across the line, and hopefully the mascots that they decided to bet for in this race. So you do 3 rounds, and each time you get to put another card into the race. So once again, you've still got a little bit of know-how about how the race is going to go, and if perhaps one particular mascot is a little bit more favoured than another. There's also a really cool side bet that you can have, and that changes with each round. So it might be 2 mascots crawl across the finish line or something like that.
Or like there will be 2 mascots at the finish line at the same time. Or there was one where that Henley or what's his name?
Hurley.
The gobbler, Hurley. He will not finish the race or he'll get disqualified.
Yes.
So you're putting in there like backwards, Henley goes back or whatever, Hurley goes backwards or whatever.
Well,
and then
that's
other people are like, no, I need to bet. I need him to win. So they're putting in cards to make him go forward. There's the cards where they've got to go to the stars.
yes.
So it's absolutely debilitating when there's like a turnaround card and then the star gets played and they have to go
Backwards.
over to like the it's so, and like the more it gets compared to Ready Set Bet a lot, which is fine, but similar to Ready Set Bet, the more you carry on, the more you act like an absolute eggplant, the better it is. And like, so I was like cursing the fish, like absolutely cursing the fish. And Adrian's like, you moron, why'd you bet on the fish? And I was like, the fish is a mule, the fish is a mule. Anyway, like it was just all that stuff that you just carry on like you're on your last dollar at the dog track.
Yeah.
Never happened to me. But yeah, I think I asked on the dog track, and it's like it's all that type of stuff. It's so funny. And then you're cheering when someone gets eliminated or when someone crosses the line. It is just
God.
silliness in a box.
Yeah.
Like, absolute
awesome.
silliness in a box.
It also allows you to relish in other people's misery. If Connor's gone all in on the fish, right? And everyone can see it. Like when Harry went all in on the different kind of win conditions that they weren't going to happen.
He always doubled down.
Because he's put all his eggs in one basket, and those bet cards are so large and really brightly coloured. So across the table, I can see what Harry's gunning for. I can see that Connor's gone all in on the fish. It just makes it raucously funny when someone just shoots for the moon and fails.
When we played, as I said, James taught it, and I think he earned like $3 in the entire game.
Yeah,
he had an absolute shocker, and it was so funny. It was.
I love to hear it.
Tom was the same. He didn't lose a bet the whole time, but only earned like $4.
So funny.
It was so pitiful. Yeah. It is like, can't remember. I think it might have been Joe grabbed me and said, "No, we're playing Hot Streak. We're playing Hot Streak." I was like, "Okay, fine, whatever." And I was like, I could just keep playing this game again and again. I think I ended up playing it maybe like full games, maybe like 4 times, because he sat down and played it twice. Then we subbed into it, other people and played it twice. Sam and Bobby from Garfield Games, Sam McDonald and Bobby Hill came in like that. Yeah, it was just so much
I know
fun.
it's compared to Ready, Set, Bet, but I still think it's a different game to Ready, Set, Bet. To me, that relies on someone who is very adept and at calling like a horse race game, like our Lachlan, who did our Ready, Set, Bet teachers. But here it really needs that. I don't think you really need that. And I just think this is very family friendly as well. I saw quite a few people with kids playing this game. And of course, all the kids, what they want to do is knock someone out. So they're going for those cards where you have to swerve right or whatever and trying to knock people
run over someone.
Knock people off the track and everything like that. So it was just such a good time.
Also, that one of the mascots is called Mum. So there's just something so funny. Let's go, Mum. Go on, Mum.
As the Queen. Yeah. Go, Mum.
Oh,
or,
God.
Get stuffed, Mum.
Yeah.
Like when Mum knocks over you. Get stuffed, Mum.
Yeah.
It is so good. I agree. I was very grateful that Jules managed to snag us a couple of copies to put in our library. And to go behind the curtain, after PlayCon's done, we have to divide up the library and send it back to different states. It was very much like, who's going to run a game day next? Because they're going to get Hot Streak. So it
Did
made
Brisbane
people
get Hot Streak?
I believe so.
Yes.
If not, you can't play it though, Dan. Let other people play it.
Suffer in your jocks.
Suffer in your jocks. That's how you know if you're from a particular part of the Australian generation is when you use that phrase, suffer in your jocks.
Oh my God. So that was that was basically a joint sizzle because we loved it. We all loved, we loved it. It was so good. If you get the opportunity to play it at one of the game days, you should definitely get to play it and get, like, as I said, bring the family along.
So that was Foundations of Rome, painted by Manny, Eternal Decks, and Hot Streak for our sizzles. Before we move on to the question of the pod, we'll just flick through a couple of quick news and announcements. So the first one is for the upcoming Brisbane Game Day, which is on the 6th of September at the Royal on Park. Did I get it right that time, Dan?
Yes, you did. Well done.
Yeah,
We're all on the
Very
park.
good.
Well done.
We're all on the park. So tickets are on sale through Eventbrite for that at the moment. So please jump in and head there if you still need your fix up to PlayCon and want to see Dana and some of our volunteers and Adrian and, of course, our newest QLD resident in Lauren. That will be a great time there. So that's their game day. A couple of news things that we thought we should touch on. So the Spiel des Jahres just finished up. And we've got a couple of winners here. Some of them we had, one of them in particular. So there's the Spiel des Jahres winner was Bombusters by Hisashi Hayashi, which was played heaps at PlayCon.
That game is so good. That game is so good.
It's dope. The Kenner's Spiel des Jahres was Endeavour Deep Sea by Carl De Vesa and Jared Gray, who I believe are Kiwis, which is awesome. So
I didn't know that.
Our brethrens from across the ditch. So that's great. And the Kinderspiel des Jahres was Top Detort by none other than the Wolfgang Warsch. So we know that man is an absolute machine, made one of my favorite games of all time, and guns /Doppelt /whatever. So clever. So yeah, they're cool. They're very cool. I haven't played Bombusters. I would love to play Endeavour Deep Sea. That looks like my type of game. And anything by Wolfgang Warsch, I would love to play. So what about you guys? Obviously, Bombusters you've played, Lauren?
Yeah, Bombusters is incredible kind of cooperative deduction game. You're trying to work out who has what wires to match them to defuse a bomb, and it's all that kind of, if they have that, then I must have this, then this has to be that. It's that kind of thinking, but it's really good and with lovely set dressing. Top Detort, I had to look up because I'd never heard of it. It looks like a really simple tile laying game, and it's obviously got a cake theme, which, I'm always about.
Yeah. Who doesn't love a good thought?
And Endeavour Deep Sea, I desperately want to play.
Yeah.
Desperately.
Looks cool. Looks really cool. So, so congratulations to those winners. All the best in your future endeavours. And hopefully we'll get around to playing some of those soon.
You know that game you've been wanting for a long, long time? The one that's been on your wish list for ages? Yeah, that one. The one you've been adding to your cart and taking off again, umming and ahhing about whether you should get it or not? Well, I'm here to push you over the edge and say go to adventgames.com and add that to your cart right now. I bet you that Dean has a great price on it, he's got great customer service, flat rate shipping, and there's so many other goodies to explore on the website. Wonderful categories all organised to pick the exact game that's right for you and the group that you play with. So head over now, don't hesitate, to adventgames.com.au and add that game to your cart now.
So last week's question of the pod was, funnily enough, what was your favourite part of PlayCon? Now, before we get on to, we have talked about this a little bit, before we get on to some of our community members' responses, Dana, aside from drinking the most expensive bottle of cognac in history, what was your favourite part?
That's actually a very good question. Probably, I would say, a particular part that I really enjoyed, I'm going to say the people. I think that's going to be a common thread throughout all responses. So I'm just going to leave that and I'll try and say something a bit different. But the actual bits of PlayCon that I liked, I particularly liked the panel with Amy and Maggie and also Emily. I absolutely loved that. That was so funny, just to see everybody in stitches. And one day I vow to be able to speak to those people because I just get too nervous and I can't talk. There's just nothing there. Like I look at them and I just go, there's nothing there. I've got no words. It's so embarrassing. It's so stupid. But anyway, so that was one. I'm going to list 3 to 7.
Oh, my God.
No. I really enjoyed watching Magic the Gathering draft. That was something really different. I had never seen anything like that before. And it was so cool because the opponents were drawn randomly and Jules and Joe randomly were drawn against each other.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it was awesome. And of course, Jules smashed him. Smashed poor Joe. But it was really great to see. I'd never seen anything like that being run before. The other highlight that I really enjoyed was the mini painting. Whilst I didn't participate in it, that was refreshing change from what I had seen in previous events. And it was a lovely quiet space. And sometimes when I went down there, it was actually really nice just having a conversation with everybody and just talking about where they're from and everything. And everybody loved that space. That was
really
just
good.
such a beautiful respite from the noise, that may be in the main hall and the vibe that some people just needed to retreat there. And to see some of the painting that went on, there was some very skillful people there. So I thought that was very good as well.
Yeah.
But my number one is
cool.
the people, but then the other three are those.
What about you, Loz?
Well, like you guys, I was in work mode a lot of the time, but all of the times I just got to step back and go, damn, we did this. How good.
Yeah.
Were just great, just a relish in that. And then the others were the games of Pitch Car and Flip 7 that I got to facilitate. It was really, really fun. Just big bombastic moments of and there was one Pitch Car game in particular where, so Pitch Car, like flicking discs across a track race, and you can play with a lot of people. So everyone steps up, takes your turn, steps back. But just independently, this group was like, why don't we just circle the table so we stay in order? And they looked like a cult. They were just a whole game of Pitch Car walking around the table in circles, taking their turns. And it was this weird group thing where once they started, they kind of couldn't stop. So for the entire race, they just circled the table. Yeah, loved those kind of big group games that we were able to run because just, big bombastic moments and lots and lots of fun. What about you, Conor?
My favourites were, so I've got 2, not 3 to 7, but my 2 were, running the panels was so good. Like, I was so grateful that I got to do that. All the people that came were like friends of the show, and I was so grateful for them to give up their time. From Ian's really insightful panel, Sam and Bobby ran a really cool session where they were just, it was kind of like open forum and people were asking questions. That went really well. And of course, Amy, Maggie, and Emily were hilarious, like just so good. Exactly kind of when I went in expecting it, it was better than what I thought. So that was really cool. But one of my favorite things that we do at PlayCon, one of my favorite places to sort of hang about like a bad smell is Designer Alley. So over the time, we've become friends with a lot of either people who have designed games that have been published or upcoming game designers. And I have either played or got to play some of the games that were there, and some of them were so much fun. So I've obviously talked about Sarah's games in the past. So she looked like she was going gangbusters with I Don't Like Onions. So if you haven't played that, it's such a great trick taker. She got some incredible feedback, and then people who I talked to afterwards loved it. I got to play Jay's game, Blood, a game about sucking, where you play as mosquitoes. That was really fun, and you're trying to push the limit but not go too much because you don't want to get swatted, and playing high cards. I got to play Rob Vella's 2-player boxing game called Going the Distance, and that was so cool, man. It reminds me of the Super Nintendo game I used to play called Punch-Out, and like making sure and just sitting down, it's a simulation, but it's still fun. And I think, and shout out to another 2 designers, Jonathan Kalea and Keith Dylan Franks, who made a video about their experiences. So go check that out. But they talked about it and said it's a simulation, but it's still really fun. And then the last game I got to play was Tegan Smith's Inordinate Fondness, which is a polyomino tile laying game where you're putting down different bugs potentially on top of each other. And it was really cool because she's like, hey, I'm trying a new rule. And I love that. That's probably my favorite part about playtesting, when I sit down and you actually get to be a part of the process. You're not just a number. You're not just like something that's being run. It's like, hey, I get to actually give feedback. And she sat down, and Tegan, sat down and was like, so what did you think? How do you think it played? And I had a blast. All 4, including Jonathan and Keith, all of those people are such great games. I'm so happy for them, and happy for us that we have created this environment that promotes them, because they're such great talents, every one of them. It makes me smile. And Joe did a fantastic job organising it this year, and then having the right people there to explain the different games that were there. Yeah,
I'm really proud of you, Joe.
Yeah, really proud of you, Joe. That's what excites me about next year, is potentially, bigger space, maybe having more people. So yeah, that was mine.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, well, we've talked enough about our fun times. Let's hear to some of the people in our community members. Dana, why don't you lead us off?
So from Facebook, Jessica Ewing says, Happy Mochi. We played with lovely people we met online through the Board Game Barbecue. It wouldn't have happened if it weren't for the Board Game Barbecue crew and PlayCon. I actually saw so many people. I ended up taking quite a few photos in front of the sponsor wall of people from different states that had met either at PlayCon, through Aftergame, or through Discord, or through the Board Game Barbecue community that ended up playing games together. And it's such a good way of networking and meeting people, and it was really great to see. The next is David Neville says, getting a mammoth 10 play tests out of my game Flock the Sheeple, playtesting all the other ones and only coming out of it with 3 purchases. Well done. Well done. I did not buy anything like specifically at PlayCon. I did beforehand, but I didn't buy anything at PlayCon, so I was very happy. Gemma AH says, so many things, catching up with friends, seeing a game go from prototype last year to publish this year, and then winning a copy, knocking some games off my list of shame, but mostly just enjoying the atmosphere in general. So friendly and welcoming. You can just ask a random person wandering around, are you looking for a game? Nobody takes offense if you say no, or you have a good time when someone shuffles up to make room. That's perfect. So proud of you guys. What can I say?
So from Instagram, we've got a tale of 2 meeples who says, the amazing people were part of one big crazy family. That we are. We had Chris Torkim say, the best bit of PlayCon? Geez, where to start? I think catching up with friends, new and old. It started at the Patreon party and ran through the entire weekend, so that for sure. Bringing my son on the Sunday for a few hours was also great. Between PlayCon, having his first sushi train for lunch and a Happy Meal for a snack on the way home, leading him to claim best birthday ever. Granted, it was his 7th birthday, so not a lot of competition, but I'll take it. The worst part of PlayCon was definitely the Peyton take. It led me to finding myself enjoying a part of the hobby I've never tried out before, which in turn has led me to spending $250 on paint stuff to try my hand at it. Curses, how dare it encourage me to do something else in this hobby.
There was another person that contributed to this, but they will remain unnamed, but they know who they are, by the way.
Oh.
We had Stephen who said, I keep thinking of the different opportunities that came up over PlayCon when considering how to answer. It was a really good weekend and event. While I could describe a gaming moment or 7 that I really enjoyed, the common theme running through all the moments were the people on the other side of the table or conversation. People I had met before, so many I hadn't. Some people I thought I was talking with, but they were someone else. Some people for whom the moment finished before the chance for a name occurred. So each best moment that happened at PlayCon for me was more about the people I had the joy of sharing time with than anyone else. Thank you to all I got to do this board game thing with. And he did add, how can last weekend and next July simultaneously seem so far away?
Yeah,
so true.
Feel that big time. And then I'll round us out. So Stace says, without a doubt, my favourite part of PlayCon this year was the people. There you go, Dana.
Yeah.
Out of the 20-something games I played, more than half of them included at least one person I had never met before sitting down for a game. It's a pretty special community. Thanks, Stace. That means a lot to us. And then finally, we've got Jonathan. My favourite thing about PlayCon wasn't the games, although I played several I was keen to play and visited the demos and saw prototypes and samples of games that I would not have thought about otherwise. But for me, the thing I love is using a game as an opportunity to talk and socialize with people. Getting to meet several of you again and for the first time was a joy. I remain convinced that this is one of the best board game communities globally, not just in Australia. Thank you, Jono. Thank you to all those people that mentioned their favourite parts of PlayCon. It does mean a lot to us. It's giving me some funny, warm feelings that I'm not used to at the moment. So, but we've talked about the good parts. Now, with the highs comes the lows, the downs, and inevitably there is the post-con blues, which is even worse when you don't win anything like I did on the weekend. But Lauren, how do you get through your post-con blues?
I think, like with anything, it's just about having the next thing that I can look forward to. For me, it's just getting stuck straight into planning 2026 when I'm kind of invigorated with all of these things and all these cool ideas and this inspiration for how much people enjoyed it. So I think for me, it's just looking towards the next event, which sadly for me is not so soon, but maybe for others is sooner.
As soon as we got back, Adrian was on the blower straight away, sort of saying, now, the next game day's coming up. And I thought, yep, that'll snap me out of it. So it's just planning another, like similar to what Lauren said, but in this case, a game day. That's pretty much gotten me out of it.
Yeah. Mine is less physically debilitating, but maybe financially. I just go into retail therapy. So like I bought, thank God, the new Donkey Kong game on the Switch came out, and I've just been any time that I'm like, I have a gap in my soul, I just fill it with Donkey Kong breaking everything that his big hands can wrap around. So that's been fun. But yeah, I try and maybe like keep playing games, or maybe organize even just a meetup. So I'm really lucky that I get to hang out with a lot of our community nightly, multiple times a week. So yeah, that tends to be what I do. But again, it's not up to us. It is up to you guys, our community. How do you deal with the post-con blues? This could be PlayCon. It could be you've headed to PAX, you've headed to Gen Con, you've headed to Origins or anything like that. How do you deal with the come down from the post-con blues? Speaking of our community, we have a couple of new Patreons. So thank you to Shannon Taylor and Kathy, the new Patreon. So thank you guys. Thank you for contributing. So if you would like to support the podcast, you can go to patreon.com/boardgamebarbecue, sign up to donate and get access to exclusive episodes that we record just for you, along with other benefits as well, around PlayCon time, access to our PlayCon party, our Jackbox party pack nights, as well as trivia that we run on our Discord. They're going to be coming up soon as well. But if you are not in a position to donate, there's heaps of ways that you can join our community and spread the good word of the barbecue. And the easiest way is just to tell your mates, tell them how awesome we are, sans myself. You can go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review rating. We need someone to take over the review rating, and I think the person here, the 5-star, is here. I think the person here is here. I think Dana should be the person that reads out the 5-star reviews.
I don't even know what you're talking about. What 5-star reviews?
Dan used to do it. He'd read out our 5-star reviews.
This is Board Game Barbecue lore, Dana.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Do you?
No,
anyway, explain it to me later.
I'll explain to you off air. So you can, and they will get read out. Leave us a 5-star rating on both Apple and Spotify. It only takes a few minutes of your time, but it means the world to us. Please get involved in our community, the Facebook community. Follow us on X, Instagram, and uploading our audio podcast to YouTube. And my second home, one of my favorite places to hang out, and that is our Board Game Barbecue Discord, where there's always games going on, always funny, insightful conversations. It is not just board games that's played there. We play Overwatch most nights. You've probably heard about the hashtag late night boys, all that type of stuff. That all originated on our Discord. So please get involved and support the show. All the links are in the show notes. All right, we are coming towards the end of the episode, and that means we are up to Dana's favourite segment.
I ran out of breath.
Fired up. You're like the old dragon. That's coming.
I ran out of breath.
Mushu.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Like Mushu. Where we talk about something that it could be board game related, it might not be, but something that we're going to be excited that's coming up in the near future. Dana, what are you doing?
Well, I have mentioned before that I've already booked my flights, thanks Megs, to Dice Tower West. So I'm going to be going to Las Vegas next year. And I just got a notification actually that tickets go on sale on the 4th of August. So I'm very, very excited. I am so much closer. It's not very far until I get to see Tom Bassel.
You might not get through customs.
I'll be right.
You honestly might not get through. He might
because
have
of the meth?
Yeah. And your weird obsession with a bearded, hatted man.
Yeah. Oh my God. I've got the T-shirt ready to go. He's on my T-shirt. I'm really looking forward to it.
You can't speak to Think Athema and Emily. What the heck's going to happen when you're in front of Tom Bassel? She's going to melt.
God. I have thought about it. And I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I need to just practice some lines so that I could just say it, because it just doesn't
some of that
come
liquid
out naturally.
courage.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what you should say is, hello, my name's Dana and I'm a massive deal in Australia. That's what you should say.
He wouldn't. I don't think he would. I don't know what he would appreciate. I'm going to find.
Cares?
I'm going to find something like really funny that he will always remember. Maybe a love note. I don't know.
Please don't do that. Ben, I'm looking at you in the camera now. Ben, all the best, mate. Just please, all the best. And you've also got a winter retreat coming up.
I know. Next weekend, I'm off in my Audi, and I'm going to be in my Audi and slippers for the entire weekend playing games. It's going to be great.
How many different types of cheese are you going to eat?
Oh, there'll be cheese. There'll be lots of cheese. It's just going to be great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Lauren, what are you excited about?
My husband is finally going to be joining me in Roma next week after a couple of months apart. And while I'm sure it will be lovely to be in the same place as my husband again, he's bringing his Nintendo Switch too.
Yay!
which I got him for his birthday, but he did buy Donkey Kong.
Oh.
And I'm pretty jazzed to play that after Connor's spoken so highly of it, but also just to be able to play games with him again. We've got a lot of games that we have yet to finish. So we have yet to finish It Takes Two. We've been meaning to start Split Fiction, and we've still got a couple of hours left of the most recent Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough that we did. So very excited to polish those off. Yeah. Be good to get some good video gaming in again, which I've not done heaps of recently.
Roma's just become that much classier with James rocking up. It's a lucky town now to have that man there. I'm excited because I think I just randomly checked my Discord messages today and I found out Lauren is going to be joining our RPG crew, which I'm so excited about. So Lauren is joining our merry band to finish off, I guess, our current campaign. Then we're going to hopefully start another one. So yeah, have you got your character ready to go?
Hell yeah, baby. I don't have it yet. This was a very recent development, but strap in because I make some bad, ill thought out, impulsive decisions in RPGs. If you ask James about our Baldur's Gate playthrough, when I was starting to, I was like, hey, what do you think will happen if I do this? Immediately does it. Ceiling falls, room explodes.
You will, as I think Tom has said, you will fit right in with our group of travelers. So yeah, very good. I'm excited. That's going to be fun.
It'll be really good fun.
And play some RPGs. But that does bring us to the end of one of our post-PlayCon episodes. I'm sure the other crew are going to talk about some of their experiences too, so buckle in for a little bit more PlayCon coverage. And just good to see you both. I feel like I've spent more time with you than I have with my own reflection lately, so that's been great. Thanks everyone for listening. Keep playing games, and we'll see you all again next time. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.